Okay, so pretty much in terms of us as an incubating project, there are some things that we should do. We already have our governing board. Kudos to all of us for getting that done and having consistent meetings. We also need to do a technology oversight committee, or we can call it a technology advisory board. If we follow the Continuous Delivery Foundation, which let me do that, which is probably what we should do since we're under that. Here is, oh, I gotta share my screen. Here is the info on their technology oversight committee. Steve and I are both on this. They meet on a fairly regular basis, once a month. Don't know if we need to meet that often, but there is a full kind of repository out here for them. So what we need to do is I think we need to duplicate this, how they have formatted this, and go ahead and initiate a TOC. And we'd probably do elections in April. That is not that far away, which means that, February, March, we should be looking for nominations. By March 15th, we should push a vote out and have the elections by the 15th of April is what I'm kind of thinking. There is, if all of you would kind of go through this and take a look at how they have it structured and see if there's any concern about it. The one thing that I do know became an issue was time. Oleg was trying to get when he was the chair, he was trying to get a co-chair because quite honestly, he was super distracted and needed some help and getting some stuff done. We should not be as busy. We're not looking at trying to onboard new open source projects or any of that sort, but as we move forward, and if we do have any integration that we're going to be doing with the Red Hat, it would be good to have a Red Hat person, for example, on the board. So I think that's really what we want to talk about, and just open it for discussion. Anybody's thought about it?
So we have Anne-Marie and Sergio already.
Yeah, I'm thinking about somebody. I know. It's great that they're on. It's awesome that they're on.
Just asking.
And Anne-Marie's here.
Oh, great. Hi, Anne-Marie. Yes. I'm thinking about somebody from the Emporius project if we move forward with it.
Okay.
So the one thing, let me just clarify. So Tracy, they did not go with a co-chair with the CDF TOC. I don't know if you read that because they were worried about splitting the power between the two of them, who would win. So they changed it to either a vice chair or a deputy chair. I can't remember the wording that they're going to choose.
Yeah,
but basically it was to step in and run meetings when somebody else couldn't and help out in that capacity.
Right. So vice chair, however, if we want to follow that, I don't think we have to. We can have we can follow a different format altogether. We can call ourselves that we have a technology advisory board instead of an oversight committee. We are allowed to do it any way we want, but this is a good place to start, understand what it looks like, and kind of their what would you call it? Their charter. So what we need is a TOC charter, and I feel like we can pull from these foundation charter documents.
So will you be sharing a link to this particular site page, whatever?
I will do that. I will put it in the notes, and I'll make sure everybody has the notes.
Because that looks like it'd be well worth spending some time reading over.
Yeah, and if we can do this again just by email. I think we can do a thumbs up if we want to pursue an email. Well, I guess, do we have quorum now with Anne Marie here?
I think so.
So that we can go ahead and vote on if we want to pursue it or not, and then leave the format to a more of an open discussion. And what I can do is I can go ahead and create a Ortelius /TOC repository. So we have a place to put these documents and we can start collaborating on them. But I would like to get nominations going by the third week of February at the latest. Takes a little bit of time for people to think about getting on board. And in terms of who we might, I think we need to recruit some folks outside of, or some folks that maybe have been involved and we've lost them. I'd love to get Karam more involved again. Garima Bajpai, who was on the TOC for some time for the CDF. I'd love to get her back on. Neetu showed up again, so she actually has taken some tasks in the outreach group. She might be an interesting person to have on there, and everybody may have some ideas of who we think should be on that TOC. So just keep it open. Just start thinking about who we might reach out to nominate to be on the board. And I know there's.
Sorry, I'm going to say characteristics of what you want, would be useful, I think, in thinking about this.
So some of the areas that we sort of are falling through the cracks on is project management.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take a more close look at how we're addressing security, and possibly look at this the OpenSSF scorecard. So that's why I'm looking at some folks that maybe have some project management background, like Neetu and Garima. While we have, I think that there's most of us who are on here would have the technical background. I still feel like we could have somebody that is more focused on UI, because it's an area that we do struggle with, and then data science. What can we do? How do we leverage the data that we're bringing on, and with things like reporting and graphs. So those are the areas that I think that we're lacking, and it would be great to have some leadership on it and some discussion.
Do you want somebody who's really strong on, not that you and Steve and others aren't, but separately from quote us unquote, from the DevOps side?
I was just thinking that. Tony, I was reading your mind. Yes.
There wasn't much there to read, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that is a really good point. If we had somebody who was a point person on our DevOps project and making sure that we're getting we've completed everything we need, and that the scorecard and the DevOps kind of go together, but they're definitely kind of separate types of people. So that's a great suggestion. Somebody on the DevOps side.
The scorecard and the DevOps piece, that comes into the requirements for going from incubating to graduating. So there is a list of stuff that we already have to do for getting ready to all the pieces in place for graduating.
Yeah, even though we don't have the adoption yet for getting there, but that's gonna be something we really have to focus on this year, including, I think we should start watching our Artifact Hub downloads and really sorting out what's happening and why we're struggling in that area.
Well, and just some of the things like they're all kind of intertwined. So people looking at the project won't adopt the project if we have an F security score.
Yeah, I know. And we're not, our security score isn't high.
So that's where it's all kind of intertwined
Okay.
together. So we kind of
Well,
have
I can think,
we kind of have a roadmap in the graduating process of some check boxes that we need to take care of. So that looks like a place that we should be looking at as well.
okay. Well, I can think of a couple people, I can, poke to see if they'd be interested in having a talk with you and, Tracy and Steve on that
That'd be
front.
great. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this topic? I mean, Simon, you've been around with some open source projects. What are your thoughts on getting a TOC put together? And is Technology Oversight Committee okay with everybody? It's the same term that they use at the CD Foundation, so I just figured we would do that.
I would say yes. I just keep it consistent with the rest of the foundation.
Okay.
So Tracy, let me add my opinion into it as well. Like, I think for the technical oversight committee, what I see from the different open source project, what they do is like in the CNCF and the CDF, what they decided like which project be a part of the incubation, graduated, and sandbox. This is part number one, their duty is. The next duty is to help publish the papers, white papers, use cases, stories, kind of this. So I think for our use case, for the TOC, I think the big step they can do is to help us publish some platform papers or papers like in the security side or in the platform side or in the backstage side on the application delivery front. So I think that would be really help us moving forward as well.
I think so too.
And another thing, I think, how do we vote this? Like in the CNCF, they circulate an email, and you just, I think, reply to that vote +1 or binding NB. That's similar. So, what is the voting criteria we use for, and what are the people like? I think we need.
Yeah. So in the past, I've used an online voting system. So I'll go just like we did for the board. So I'll just use I'll just use the same online voting system for doing the votes. We just have to get the nominations.
Yes, that's easy one. But I think like we have to decide for the TOC like what their role and responsibility was. I think the bigger role should be because they won't be, because we are not a part of the foundation, but we're part of the project, the TOC, our committee. So I think they help us figure out where we add our input into the different communities. Number one, how do we a part of other communities as well within the open source umbrella? And they help us write some papers with the collaboration of the other communities, and they figure out a way how Ortelius community member be a part of different working group either within the CNCF and the CED Foundation. I believe this should be the primary role of these TOC members.
Okay. Any other thoughts on it?
I think what we should do is I'm taking a look at the Tecton repos to see. So because Tecton's a project, they're going to have a slightly different TOC.
You want to put that in the chat and I'll put it in the
Yeah, I'm looking for trying to find the right.
the other one would be Jenkins.
Yep. I'm just trying to find where they put their governance bug. Yeah, here it is. Let me put it in the chat. Because this may be taking a TOC from a project versus a foundation may be easier. And since they just graduated, they have their pieces in place.
Looking for nothing on the Jenkins website.
You know what? They may not have one. I read it wrong when I went to their website. They have a Tecton governance committee, but I don't see anything spelled out for a TAC. Hmm.
Well, I'd say we just follow the CDF format for a committee. And we could also call it a working group, but I think we should call it a committee, or I don't want to call it a board. I don't want to. That's why
TOC is perfectly reasonable.
I think so too. So let me do this. Let me create a TOC sub-project, and let me put some docs in there. And then I'll bug you guys to take a look at it and make some comments on it. That sound like a good way to move forward?
Yeah, the easiest way would be just to get started is we grab a repo, create a TOC repo, take most of the content from the CDF TOC, do our global change and replace, and then we just start doing a discussion or just do a PR where people can comment and do updates to it.
Okay. I will
And
do
then
that.
once we have all of the changes to the documentation to the docs, then we can go ahead and do the voting after that. Because then
Okay.
everybody then it's public for everybody to see.
Yeah. What I need from this group now, though, is someone to pass a motion. I can't, because I'm not on the board, to pursue a technology oversight committee. I don't know how you want to word it, but somebody needs to create a motion for us, and you guys need to vote on it.
I motion that we pursue forming a technical oversight committee.
Seconded.
Thank you.
Anybody for or let me say, anybody against? All right, silence equals unanimous.
Do you want to add, before you finish writing the note, technical oversight committee under the guidance of the Ortelius CTO or something like that? We should know where it hooks in.
I think for now we can just leave it pretty broad, and as we formalize the docs, we can get into the details like that.
Okay.
So Anne Marie, there's your note, your minutes for this meeting.
Thank you.
Right, we will get that started then, and as soon as I have it all together, I'll send it to the governing board.
I would just put in here just as a note that that the timeline is what like April 1st nominations and April 15 voting. I just put in there as a note, and that looks good. Anything else on this TOC?
Nope, that's like the top of sort of my list of what I know that we need to, what our next steps need to be in terms of making sure we have kind of all of the working parts in order.
And let me just give an update on the GitHub sponsorships. I do have a person from GitHub that I'm able to work with now.
You do? Thank goodness.
So I've resent our signed contract for the 4th time to GitHub. We'll see. I'm going to double check that she got it and get that taken care of.
Great. That'll be nice to have off the list. Boy, it's taken way too long for some of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's happening, and once we get that, it sounds like they'll do a like invoice or something along those lines, a PO invoice type of thing. So we'll get it. I think once we get into their system, I think things will move along a lot easier. And then we'll be able to start paying out folks. So we did clean up the issues and have started attaching more bounties to stuff. And the architecture document should be completed hopefully this week. I'm pretty close on it. So but that's what's happening on that front. That's and so just so everybody knows, we kind of broke it out into 3 bigger milestones. One is the XRPL ledger piece, which is mostly the back end stuff. And then Tracy created a milestone called Rocinante, which is a spaceship in a movie. And that one is mostly UI stuff, front end based stuff. And then there's the everything else category, which is mostly like DevOps.
We have a DevOps project.
Well, did you ever create the milestone for DevOps?
Yeah, let me share my screen again just so the board knows how we did that. Okay, so
You guys do know that Rocinante was Don Quixote's horse, right?
Oh, it was, wasn't it? No, I didn't even put those two together. Of course, then I was attracted to that name, right? It has to do with the horse.
Seems clear enough.
So
we have we've got 3 milestones now. We have one for DevOps. And there are 8 issues out here. 3 of them relate to Argo. So we have these 2, this one installing Argo, and these 2 other Argo, one for Poly and one for mono repos. It would be great to have a technology oversight committee to sit down and look at this that was focused on DevOps and say, do we really want to pursue Argo as an option? I'm thinking that we probably do. But these are what we're looking at now. Here's the other one that we have Artifact Hub showing F grade due to our CVEs, which we need to get worked on. So this is kind of, I would say, we could almost change this to the TOC, add TOC to these tags, since these are things that we got to solve.
Well, that's one thing I want to make sure that we kind of keep clear separation is we shouldn't be just saying this is a TOC problem, go fix it. It's a community problem, and the TOC should be there to give direction, but not necessarily do all the work. And I think that's what Oleg was running into with the CDF is you're the chair of the CDF, go off and do all this work type of thing, which it really shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I made it sound that way. It was never intended, but I think the TOC could be looking at it and saying, no, we probably don't want to take the time to build Argo CD into our process. We don't need it.
Right.
For example.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point is a TOC and to get the people we want, they will expect to be in governance governance role. It's not, they just signed up to take on a bunch of extra work.
Right.
So you guys are making a very important point.
So this is these are open. Were opened by Brad, and I know that the team has worked a lot on Argo, so it would make sense to do this. But again, this would be the kinds of things that the TOC should be overseeing. If somebody decides that they want to bring in a tool, should we use it or not, for example? And then the other milestones are the XRP ledger. And we have 12 open issues. Steve will continue to add them as the new architecture changes. And then the Rocinante, which is all of the other issues that we've had opened. There are now a couple of dozen in there. And this is kind of I would call this this is our June 30th due date. So we want to be able to sweep up all of the XRPL and all of these pieces and do a sort of a major release in June, which includes all of the new architecture, which is ambitious, but it's doable. So I'm hoping that we don't have any more, we're going to just keep these three. And I'd like to get some of these DevOps ones done by the 1st of March to just get this one off our list. And if we had a TOC, it would probably get done a lot faster because they could make recommendations if we really should go and implement Argo CD in our environment.
It's already implemented. It's just not working quite right. So I think we're past that decision.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we just need to get it done.
Yeah. And that decision came from the architecture working group.
Right.
So. But that was the other things I just wanted to bring up, just so everybody was aware.
And we did go through and I indicated if there was a bounty associated to it, and we tried as much as we could to indicate the skill. So this one requires some DevOps, this is blockchain, this is user interface, to make it easier for people to self-assign. But I will be kind of taking a management role in watching the repos and assigning tickets as we need them assigned. To help people get involved. And I definitely am more interested in that dev container, Sasha. So if that's something that we can do and make it easy for folks, that'd be fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. It's just lowering the barrier of entry, right?
Yes,
so you
exactly.
can just use a browser. Like you want to make it, we'd have to just look at how you would, because you can choose a branch. And I went there now and it says I'll be billed for the virtual machine time, but you get free credits. You get like 30 hours a month, which is like I think more than enough for an open source.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I don't know how that would work on a branch basis, because we have that whole branching method of forking, and then you work on your local kind of thing. So I'm not too sure about that. We'd have to just look at that. But it's totally doable.
Yeah, I think it'd help people a lot.
It'll be so easy, right? They just go to the web page. You don't even need anything installed. You just need a browser.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can add your extensions there if you want. You can pre-set up extensions if they need extensions, any of that. All the tools and everything is all there, compartmentalized in that container only to work on that application. So that ain't install anything. It's like a dev environment inside a container.
That would be super helpful for the outreach, because I created an outreach repository to track the blogs. So that doesn't require a compiler or anything. It would just be, you
see under code there,
the green button
on there. Yeah.
I'll go back.
If you go to Ortelius,
right here.
like usually, you see if you go there, code spaces on the right there at the top. Code spaces new.
Oh, it is new.
Yeah, so if you can
click on that.
And you can probably use this for anything, right? Like documentation, I don't know, anything.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, to get people started.
Yeah, it's so easy for them to contribute now.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. It's a VS Code in the browser.
Yep, sure is.
Yep. And you can choose which extensions are running, you know, are local, like, or remote, you can have, yeah, whatever you want to do. It's pretty amazing.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Well, that will definitely make it easy to, we'll have to kind of do a quick tutorial like on the website, how to create a blog using code spaces.
Mm.
You know,
That's really, yeah.
kind of like, you know, fork, make your fork, then go over to your fork, run code spaces,
Something like
XYZ,
that.
then go ahead and push things back type of thing. I think it'd be a, you know,
If
probably
you-
a 5 minute
Yeah,
recording.
before you get to this part, there's 3 little dots that you can choose, and you can actually customize which branch you want to use too. So you don't have to do it off the main branch, right? You can
Yeah.
choose any branch. And then you can choose the size of your virtual machine. Well, yeah, virtual machines, 2 cores or 4 cores.
All right. Yeah,
Look at
And it
you,
tells
Tracy.
you who's
Sasha.
going to get bold. Yeah.
Sasha's
Pardon?
turning into a Git expert. Who would have thought?
I have to use it every day. That's why I have to find smart ways of using it. It's really smart.
Yeah. Tracy's living dangerously here, being on main against the main repo. I'm
That's
gonna have to
it,
put on
Tracy, living on
branch
the edge.
protection now.
I don't do any coding. I just work on the website. So
Yeah. And she
Yeah.
commits to main directly.
That's nice. That's the way to do it. You know, the fast lane,
Yep.
Yep.
Skip all the processes.
yep.
no traffic.
It's like having root privileges on the production servers. Why not?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm used to.
Who needs non-prod?
Yeah. Well, you know the saying. What is it? It's something like we do development and production.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
like
had
that.
I had a project manager tell me that we don't have a problem with production releases. We never break anything, and anyways, we do development and production.
So
That's
you
really
had a
taking it to a
project
whole other
manager,
level.
but not a good project manager tell you that.
Brilliant.
And that
Yeah,
was
you don't
for
need a
big
testing
financial
environment. You
company.
just do it all in
Yeah.
production.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
We don't worry about it. We just do development and production.
Awesome.
How often have you heard the phrase, we're a startup, so ...
All the time.
That's classic.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
Nah.
All right.
Thank
Excellent.
you all for the privilege of your time. We will chat soon.
Oh, one question, Anne Marie, did you ever get your jacket?
I don't think so. Although I did get a couple of packages recently, but I don't. No, I haven't opened one yet. So
Okay, because over the holidays we had a friend that was in Frankfurt and mailed it from Frankfurt to you.
that it should get here eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. It was definitely a in Germany mail postal
And it's
that
in
it was
like
coming.
It's in like a white packet. It's like a white envelope.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for it.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.